Welcome back, Inkblot Nathan. I'm Philip. I'm your host. I'm here talking Lorcana. We're talking sizes of print runs for Ravensburger. We're kind of using TCGplayer as something of a barometer to gauge the overall size of these print runs and the overall size of like the available sealed box market right now. Again, knowing full well TCGplayer is not the totality of the boxes that are out there. We're just kind of using it as a barometer, as a gauge. Because again, if you look at these numbers the right way, you could have listened to me a week ago on telling you, hey, don't wait on whispers in the well boxes to drop below 100. You should probably buy them right now. That was when they were 107. You could have waited and said, hey, no, I'm going to save my $7 or $8 and wait a week and buy them then. You would have lost $7 or $8. You would have lost out. It's now $7 or $8 more expensive. If we go look at, I think I could even let me pop it in here. Whispers in the Well, right there. You're looking at 115 a box instead of a 108. And when we scroll down here, I think it's only like 7 boxes until we hop up to the 120. So again, I'm just telling you that I'm looking at these numbers. I'm not trying to get anyone FOMO into anything. I'm trying to help you get the best read on which boxes you should be pulling the trigger on first. Because I'm coming to Lorcana brand new. I want one of each box because if I pull up, let me pull up this little sheet that we're going to be using here. Look at this. Okay. So when we take the cost per box, even if we added in, Whispers is what, 115 now instead of 107. When we ask an Excel spreadsheet to give us a little average here, 121 a box. Anyone who's not familiar with Lorcana, who's watching this video because they watch my channel and they like Pokemon, Lorcana's MSRP is 145 a box, I believe. Now, it isn't 36 packs like it is with Pokemon. It is 24 packs in a booster box, but it is $6 a pack instead of $5 a pack because it's 12 cards instead of 10, and there are no energy cards, blah, 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 blah. There are all these, maths that throw in, but you're talking about $20 less than average or MSRP on average that you're buying per box to have one of each in a TCG's history. Sounds like a fun little mini sealed collection to be able to start off on. But you would probably want to know which of these boxes you actually want to like. If a box is the cheapest, does that mean it's going to move the furthest in the shortest amount of time? No, you're going to want to know print runs of these motherfuckers. So my anal ass, so I've done this. This is November 19th, and you'll see the evolution of this chart from I try to get a snapshot before and after Black Friday, just kind of get an idea. If you look at the number of Fabled boxes that were available on TCGplayer before Black Friday, 686. This obviously isn't sell through. You can get that number yourself if you look at like a monthly chart on TCGplayer or whatever. It's going to show you however many boxes sold per month. I think this is important because it isn't sell through. Because of that fact, people can, if they see the writing on the wall and say Fabled is going to go up in price, remove that box even from the market while the price is going up because they don't want their listing to just get swept up in that ramp up to its new high. So it dropped from 680 boxes of Fabled available right before Black Friday to 78 right after Black Friday. That many boxes did not sell in that amount of time because not all of those sellers wanted their boxes to be part of that sale, if that makes sense. So that also will help illustrate when we go to January 17th why Fabled, it's still in the red. It's very, very tiny number of boxes, but it's actually grown how many are on TCGplayer right now. So let's compare then, because Whispers had just come out in November, right? It was early November when it came out. It had 1,000 boxes out on TCGplayer. Very short amount of time, a couple hundred got eaten away. Where are we sitting now? 2 months past that first snapshot, we're down to 364 boxes left of Whispers in the Well. For reference, that is 11 more boxes than Reign of Jafar, the set that came out, the set before Fabled, very quickly catching up to these numbers. So you can see it doesn't take a rocket scientist to kind of see in these total number of boxes when we can combine um, loose boxes with the 4 that are in the case. Like you can see in the math here, when we add them all up, there's clearly a cut in the print runs, right? Starting in Azurite C, and it would appear another delineation. This 4 sets later, Fabled is already down. Whispers, this is again January 17th. I think we're probably under 350 by now. Very quickly catching up to even this swath here of Azurite to Reign of Jafar, where it was clearly less than when they were trying to get past this speculative bubble. Oh, and a couple additions for January on this part of the sheet. I know you degens are going to want the dollar, like the cost per case, not just the cost per box, even though my broke ass is probably only going to be buying boxes. I also added here a case premium. So I know some of you guys pay extra to have a really pristine cardboard box outside of your cardboard box, outside of your cardboard. And if you want, that's fine. Me, I have this formatted so that I can see the opportunities, right? Where is it where I might be able to save a little bit of money by buying 4 boxes at once and up dramatically increase my odds of actually pulling an enchanted out of that box. Um, which I'll move this back before I fuck up my numbers. This was 107 on the 17th. Because yeah, not to spoil anything, but if we were to switch this to, let's just say that 115, and let's just say somebody had a box on TCGplayer for like 350, $20 shipping out the door with all taxes and fees, it was like $400. Then you're looking at like 15 bucks off for picking up a case. Did that. I did that. When you look at the sales, there was one last case that sold at that 350 and $20 shipping. One of them sold on the 23rd. It's the same day this video is being recorded. Then we have our comparison tab, which is definitely what we'll be referencing. I will add, I know everyone is already like, well, you added values to the January thing. Why isn't it on the comparison tab? There will be a value comparison. I just want to look at boxes, how many boxes there are on the market that weren't there previously. You'll see just how many boxes got added from some of these older sets. There are 84 more boxes of Rise of the Floodborn on TCGplayer than there were in January than there were in November. There are 185 more Shimmering Skies boxes on the market right now than there were in November. I think what you're looking at is anyone in uh, Lorcana who was speculating, and it's happening even with that first chapter, the 34 boxes, and it's price dipping as well. Any of those folks who wanted to realize gains and move it over into one piece, that's what we're seeing here with these boxes coming onto market with these early sets. Meanwhile, the actual hard devouring audience, when you look at these most recent sets, seems like those are exactly what you would want if you were someone who just, I don't know, released cards that were intended to be like pieces of like decks. Like if you built a whole deck around these cards, when you release sets like that, instead of everyone just going after the one with characters that everyone likes, you would probably have this very orderly fashion devouring a product. And that to me is a healthy market. That's something that makes me very comfortably say, yeah, no, I can spend 400 bucks on that case and the boxes are going to go up. They're going to be a lot more valuable than 100 bucks a piece 6 months from now, a year from now. Not to mention that 10-year hold that all those motherfuckers say they're going to do. So, yeah, just thought it was an interesting little way to kind of catch up on size and lower economy market, and what Ravensburger has clearly done to account for the fact that they don't have hype machines that are glorifying this shit. They have an audience of people who play the game and casually collect. They want to grow that collector base. It feels like what Lorcana has in spades is hardcore collectors and hardcore players. So, people that are willing to spend thousands of dollars on a card are more common in Lorcana than people who are willing to spend $40 on, 20 cards or whatever. Fill a binder up with some cool, sparkly, shiny cards. That's what they need right now. If you're a Rudy type, if you fancy yourself an investor, let me pop this back up. Is the right play to go with just a first chapter or Fabled? If I go to the values here, everyone looks at first chapters 285 and Fabled is at 185. It's finally growing. If you were inclined to listen to someone who's done this with a lot of playable sets or a lot of sets of a playable game is a better way to phrase that. Rugy, I think is his name from Alpha Investments. If you fancy yourself a Rugy and you're coming from the Pokemon game, you got to realize a player's game is completely different. The thing that made Rugy a lot of money was buying actually bricks, was not buying the hype sets. It wasn't buying the things that were already exponentially growing. It was buying sets that were just sitting around gathering dust because if anything in that box increased in value, even if the uncommons went up a little bit, all of his boxes increased in value, right? Like the original way that people would speculate and make money in Magic was not in sealed boxes. It was understanding the meta well enough to know, hey, X card just needs a little bit more support, and then it's going to be twice as popular. It's going to be in so many more decks if it just had X or Y to help it get along, right? So you're going to have the same thing happening in Lorcana. For example, you have Return of Ursula is $70 a box, and there are 465 motherfucking boxes of that thing sitting out there on TCGplayer. You could think I have forever to collect that Return of Ursula box, and honestly, you probably do. Very, very likely do. The reason you would be inclined to not just buy only first chapter and only Fabled is because if you diversified into these other sets, then the second anything either becomes playable if it's hasn't rotated out of these first four sets, if it's still legal, if it just becomes more playable, or if it was legal, it rotated out and now it's coming back into the fold. Like a Diablo would be a good example in Ursula's Return or Return of Ursula, whichever one, whatever we call it. It's funny, I've got the set wrong. If one of those legendary cards goes from being, I think Diablo dropped to like 7 or 8 bucks, and it was like a $30-$40 card. Even if it gets reprinted, there's a new copy of it and an old copy of it. You just need that $7 card to go to $20 for you to suddenly be making a very healthy margin on reselling that thing later, right? But instead of speculating on a stock, so to speak, the play for Rugi was to buy the ETF and just say, I don't know what fucking cards are going to do well in here. I'm just going to buy a couple of each. And if something goes way up in value, suddenly I can sell that box for well more than I bought it for and move that money into something else. So if you fancy yourself a Rugi and you really think, hey, I know how to make money in cardboard, chase the dollars that everyone else is already spending on these other sets. You're doing it wrong. And you might be able to make some money along the way. That's fine. People made money during Tulip Mania, and they didn't quite know why, but not everyone got left holding the bag. You could make out perfectly well through all that. But if you wanted to say, you know what, I'm not the smartest motherfucker on earth. I don't know what's going to be playable, what's going to be hot in the future. You would just want to be able to pick up a couple boxes of each, right? And I'm just saying, in a hobby where everything is super overpriced and hyped to the moon, being able to collect the entirety of that TCG in the form of their sealed booster box for under MSRP in the year 2026 uh, is applaudable. And it's only possible because Ravensburger forces shops to select a preferred distributor so that these store owners can't just backdoor product to their friends, excuse me, and have them undercut the market and just blow up anybody's chances of actually having a healthy margin on these fucking boxes. So yeah, if you like this data, if you want the next comparison update to figure out not how many boxes are sold, but how many boxes are entering and exiting the market, this is going to be your place. Go ahead and like, subscribe, give me a comment. What is it that you're going to be hopping on? Did any of this information help you make a decision on something? Are you going with a case instead of a box because of something? Are you going with one set over another because of something I said? Let me know because I'd like to know how to make this shit better, and make it so that you come in every week and you're like, "Oh, what's the fucking Lorcana market doing?" I love you all. Comment, like, subscribe. Did I do that already? TCGs can be whatever you make of them. I don't know. Be good to each other. Peace out.